For this video, we are talking about post-game grooming and maintenance. Although we call it grooming, what we really mean is keeping up with small field maintenance issues to ensure that they do not become large, costly issues later. The purpose of post-game grooming the ball field is twofold. The first, and most critical aspect, is to restore the field to a flat, playable condition. Baseball is unique amongst youth sports because parents play an integral part of the safety and enjoyment of everyone in the ball field. Throughout this video, we talk about skinned area and turf. The turf is the grassy portion of the field, and the skinned area is the infield mix. Infield mix at our fields is made of sand, silt, clay, and conditioning drying agents. The combination of these give the most stable base to play on. It is important to note that the drying agent is already incorporated into the mix already on the field. An important part of grooming is watering. This is especially true for the batter's box and home plate area. Watering before and after grooming will help the infield mix bind together to provide a level surface. Also, some ball fields are made with clay blocks underneath the home plate area as a stabilizing base. If the blocks get too dry, they will weaken and begin to break up. After raking, lightly spray the entire area with water and give it time to soak in. Work in other parts of the field at this time. At home plate, you want to use the landscaper's rake to shave down any high spots as well as fill and tamp holes. Then, once again, smooth out the infield mix. Maintaining a box that is free of holes and high spots is very important in Little League. It allows players to place their feet where they feel comfortable for proper stance and balance. This gives the batter the greatest opportunity for success at the plate. It is important to rake in 3 to 4 directions, up and down, sideways, and the diagonals. Rake all the way to the back where the umpire stands and up to the bunt area. If you rake in a star pattern each time, it will prevent buildup in certain areas. Spray the area again and cover it with a tarp. If using a tarp without a weighted edge, use bricks or anchors to secure it. There are 3 critical aspects of the pitcher's mound. The first area is the top. It must be flat according to the dimensions required for the field. Pitching is largely about balance and power. If the top of the mound is not flat, then the pitcher is off balance. The pitcher can throw safely with more power if the pitcher has a level surface to pitch from. The mound is level on top, 17 inches by 40 inches. It is flat front and back, left and right of the pitching block. The dimensions of the level area are 9 inches behind the edge of the block, 4 inches in front of the block, and 40 inches across. The next critical area is the landing. The landing area is where the pitcher's front foot lands after the ball is thrown. Each pitcher's stride is different, and the landing area should be tamped solid when grooming the mound. This will allow the pitcher's front foot to land naturally during the game. Lastly, slope. The slope of the mound should remain the same throughout the season. Often it begins the season convex, and excessive raking in the same direction leads to a concave mound by mid-season. The slope of the mound is 1 inch per linear foot. First, use the landscape rake to rake infield mix onto the ground to fill in any holes. Tamp and grade. Next, smooth out any lumps. The radius of the mound is 6 feet, but not centered on the pitching block as many would assume. The center of the mound is actually a foot in front of the pitching block, toward home plate. Use the landscape rake to check the dimensions and make any adjustments. It is especially important to maintain the mound properly for player safety. If you see any issues, notify your manager. The mound, like the home plate area, should be covered with a tarp when the field is not in use. The tarp will prevent the area from getting too wet during a rainfall and keep those areas moist on sunny days during dry weather conditions. When clay dries out, it crumbles and loses its ability to stabilize the area and must be replaced, which is both expensive and time-consuming. Now we will talk about grooming the bullpens. The slope of the bullpens should be the same as that on the mound. Grooming is slightly different because of how it's made. When grooming the bullpens, rake up the slope toward the back of the bullpen using a landscaper's rake. Depending on the amount of use, it may be necessary to add any excess infield mix from the back of the bullpen to fill in the hole where the pitcher's foot lands. Remember to check the slope in the same way you would the mound. For this video, we're discussing skinned base paths. Before you begin raking the base paths, it is important to make sure that all the infield mix is out of the grass. To do this, use a broom to gently push the infield mix out of the grass. If additional work to remove or prevent lip buildup is needed, see the Special Conditions section. Next, fill in the holes in the high foot traffic areas, around the bases and slide areas. Check the bases to ensure that they are seated properly on the base and anchored securely. Base paths should be watered before and after games to help with grooming and improve playability. Always remember to rake the base paths following the path of travel. The infield skinned area is groomed to restore an even playing surface. However, it is not necessary to hand rake the entire area. You only want to rake the spots that have many footprints, bumps, or holes. Use a shovel, tamp, or the back of a landscape rake to assist with filling holes and evening out the high spots. After that, you need a drag. The drag may be either floppy or stiff, and have a board attached to the top for easier use. Before dragging, it is always a good idea to remove the bases, but it is not required. Be sure to only drag the infield skinned areas and not home plate, the mound, or base paths. Remember to lift the drag while still in the skinned area and never drag into the grass. When dragging the infield skinned areas, start at one side of the field and progress toward the other. Make a pass along the back of the skinned infield area and then loop around when you reach the end of the skinned infield. Continue the circular pattern, overlapping the previous pass with a few inches until the entire skinned area has been dragged. Stay several inches away from the grassy area and vary your stopping and starting point each time.